All right, this is a mimer which is called HaChodesh Hazeh. It's talking about the month of Nisan. It's in Mimer Melukatim Beit of the Rebbe. Now the Mimer is, it's we are now on page Reish Pei Daled. Okay, for those a short summary of the Mimer. The Mimer talks about what is the difference between the Torah and the world. God creates the world, God gave the Torah. Is there any difference between them? So first of all, general principle in Chassidut is that all this is happening right now. God is creating the world, He's enlivening the world. God is giving the Torah, and He's enlivening the Torah. This is every moment. That the God creates the world, He does this on His own. That the God gives the Torah, He also gives it on His own. But the difference is that when we learn the Torah, is it draws down godliness in the world. Something like how when we pray. But prayer, it says, comes from below to above. And the Torah, when God gave the Torah, so He already laid down all the lines, all the channels of blessing were already put down. As soon as we just have to open up and learn and understand, it reopens all these channels of blessing into the world. So that's pretty nice. That's pretty good. That's at least what we believe. And the Rebbe said it's not so simple. The fact is that it would be simple if we said that God created the world a long time ago, and that when we make blessings, as it draws down God into the world right now. God is not in the world now because He created the world a long time ago. But when we learn the Torah, it puts God in the world. Says the Rebbe, that's not exactly right. Because the fact is that God is creating the world every instant. And He's creating the world every instant from His essence. It's the same God that's creating the world as the God that's giving the Torah. There's not two gods. Only one God. But God is creating the world. He's creating the world from a different sort of an aspect of Himself than He is giving the Torah. And now we're going to see that this is very, very, very fine, the difference between the two of them. We're on page Reish Pei Daled. Reish Pei Daled, near the end of the book. Is that it? That's it. That's the Mimer. That's the Mimer. You have the right, no, maybe you haven't got the right page.
On the wrong page.
On the wrong page, yeah. Here, take my book, here.
Here you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we're going to see, where does the world come from? The world is being created from God's essence. Now, you have to remember something very important, and that is that this world is very, very important to the world, and to God. In many ways, the world, the Torah was created for the world. The Torah was created in order that the world should be a godly place, a holy place. The whole world should be like a holy temple. The world. So this physical world is the only vessel for the essence of God. Not all the spiritual worlds, all the heavenly worlds, all the upper worlds. This is explained in long length in the Tanya. The reason that God created the world was for this physical world, not all the upper spiritual worlds, not to go to heaven, not for all these revelations, and this is wonderful and this is amazing. Oh, yes, they are. Oh, yeah. One, you have to, yeah. Okay, you okay?
But This world is only temporary, you know that.
So that's what the point is. No, this world is not temporary.
It's forever.
This
Mashiach
world
comes.
is that's right. This world is really permanent.
But first Mashiach has to come.
Of course, yes, to reveal the real. Because one of the things of the Mashiach, even though it doesn't talk about that here, but one of the things is the Mashiach is that he comes to wake up the Jewish people. When he wakes the Jewish people up, all of them, then they begin to do what they're supposed to do. They
What
live
about
according.
the ones that
1
are
minute, let me finish. Every Jew, he's going to make all the Jews return to their senses.
Even the ones that fall off the dark.
Yes, especially those people. Says the Rambam brings in the laws of tshuva. I think it's in the 7th chapter that it says it's a chazaka, it's a certainty that everyone is going to do tshuva. All the Jews will do tshuva, umiyadim nigalim, and immediately they will be redeemed. So that's the job of the Mashiach, is to make the Jews do tshuva. Or in a simple language, one of the jobs of Mashiach is to bring Mashiach. Right? One of the jobs of the Mashiach is to make all the Jews do tshuva. That's why people say the Rebbe of the Lubavitcher Rebbe is the Mashiach, because he's the only one with a real plan and makes tremendous efforts to bring every Jew, even the furthest away Jews, to do tshuva. I mean, he's even made all these other organizations that always were taking great pride in the fact of how isolationist that they are, and how proud they were to be elite, and that they were the special Jews because they sat and they learned Torah, and anyone who wanted to come to them could come to them. But it was a high ladder, and not everybody could get in. This was the elite of the elite. You can't, not everybody can just get in and be in the commando forces in the army, or to be a professor in a university. And the Rebbe Lubavitch said exactly the opposite. You have to take the greatest people that you've got, the best people, the people who know the most, and send them out, so that people out in Thailand and all these other weird places, all these Jews that are intermarried, that they can see what it is to be a Jew. They can feel how good it is to be a Jew. And a lot of these people say, listen, we ourselves don't feel how good it is to be a Jew. We just feel how good it is to be an elite. So what is there in Judaism to feel good? And they had to develop, became a big competition, Baruch Hashem, to make people do tshuva. The big tshuva movement was begun. But the idea of it is why the Jewish people will come back and do the Torah. And when Jewish people do the Torah, then the Torah will reveal more of God's essence in the world. Says the Rebbe, but 1 second, it's not so understandable. The fact is that God's essence, God creates the world from his essence. Okay, you with me, Herschel? God creates the world from his essence. That's one good wake-up thing. Coffee is good with wake you up. It's good for waking up, especially when you spill it on your lap.
Are you with us, Herschel? In like weeks.
Yeah.
Don't bang on the table.
Yeah. Oh, don't bang on the table. I have to have something to.
Thank God we're not singing.
No, singing is okay. Okay, let's go. We're not dancing on the table. Dancing on the table. No pounding on the table, and no dancing on the table, please. Because it wiggles.
It's not 770. How do you do that?
Huh? Yeah. We can do it. Let's go. All right, so it gets a little bit Kabbalistic here because we're talking about God, and God is not something that you can just look out the window and see, or see a picture of God. For instance, it says that the high priest, the Kohen Gadol, he would go in once a year into the Holy of Holies, and he would... and there he would be face to face with God, like it was on Mount Sinai. And if he thought a bad thought, he would die. Now, if God was just a picture or some sort of an example, why would he die? What's there to die from? But there's such intense life and such intense reality that a human being can't take it. So he says that's what's revealed in the world through the Torah. He says, but 1 second, the world also comes from this tremendously high place. Okay. So let's do Daled. Now this whole mimer that the Rebbe is saying, this is an explanation of a mimer of the fifth Rebbe of Chabad, called Rebbe Sholem Dovber, of the same name, HaChodesh Hazeh Lochem Rosh Chodeshim, to explain what exactly is Rosh Chodesh. Now, Rosh Chodesh Nisan is the beginning, is really the first commandment in the Torah given to all the Jewish people. What was that commandment? The commandment was HaChodesh Hazeh Lochem Rosh Chodeshim. Exactly these words. HaChodesh Hazeh Lochem. Rosh Chodesh Nisan is the first month of the Jewish year, of the months. And the first day of the regular solar year is the first day of Nisan, of Tishrei. So now he's explaining what's so special about this month of Nisan. So he says, in order that the month of Nisan is the preparation for the Torah. The Jews got out of Egypt in order to receive the Torah. That's the whole idea of Pesach, is that it was in order to receive the Torah. That will make a new world. Says the Rebbe, let's understand first of all where the world comes from. The world comes from God. Says the world comes from God, that God, when he's in the beginning, it says in the Bible that God spoke. What does it mean he spoke? This is what's called the beam of creative light, the Kav. This beam of creative light is how God measures, just like when we speak, how God measures his creative force in order to make this physical world and also all the spiritual worlds before it. That's called the Kav. Umamshich b'maimer, the Rebbe Rashab continues in his Hasidic discourse. The Medida Shebakav, that this idea that in this Kav, this beam of light, this beam of creative force that God uses in order to create the world, even though that it comes by means of God, so to speak, contracting his power. And it's explained in Chassidus that God does not really contract, he hides over his power. It's something like a person speaking, right? You want to learn a new language, so you have to stop thinking in terms of English. You have to start talking in terms of Russian. So you can't use the old language that you were using before. You have to now contract yourself, hold yourself back. Now all of the English is still in your head. Still English. The English didn't go away. It's just you hide the power of speaking English and you start to speak in Russian. So it's a new way of controlling your mouth and your tongue and your ideas and your thoughts and your urges and your power of speech. That's what's called a tzimtzum. That's what's called a withholding. Shor hu bo'or ein sof livnei tzimtzum. This power that God has to contract, to hide over himself in order to create the world, this comes from the infinite light of God, which is before any contractions, any concealments. In other words, God's essence. We're in Dalet. See where we are? We're in Dalet. Do you have the place? Yeah, the other page. There we go. Yeah. That when God, it rose up in God's will, livro et olamo, to create all of the worlds, to make a creation. Shiur ba'atzmo b'koach. God estimated in himself, potentially, livnei atzimtzum, before he made any of these contractions, kol ma sheyeya b'pol, everything which will come actually, la'achrei atzimtzum, after God made all these contractions. And it's the same thing. You want to go and speak to a crowd in Russian. You have a very important message to give over to the people. You want to explain to them ideas of Chassidut, that they're human beings, that God creates them, God loves them. You want to explain, but you don't understand the language. So what do? You go and you learn the language. In order to learn the language, you have to remove all of your previous ways of speaking. And also you have to have in your mind who you're speaking to and what ideas you want to get to and how intelligent these people are, what level of speech you should use, of language and eloquence, right? Should you maybe tell a joke first? Maybe they don't like jokes. Maybe you should bring a lot of proofs. Maybe you should say a lot of names. Maybe you should explain who you are first. You have to understand the same thing with God. God, before he created the world, he estimated in his mind. He had it already, planned in his mind how to create the world. Now, of course, we can't take this literally. But on the other hand, we do know two things. God exists and the world exists. and that God created the world. That's what we believe. That God created the world. How did he do it? So you can look at it two ways. You can say, listen, he did it. What do we care how he did it? God created the world. It's enough. I'm a religious person, I believe. But if you do that, what do? It means that you removed God from the world. It's a mitzvah to try to understand as much as possible. So came along the Kabbalists, beginning with Abraham. It says Abraham, the first Jew, he got a book which is called Sefer Yetzirah, The Secrets of Creation. In order that we can approach God, we can come closer to God, or even for no other reason than not to get the wrong idea of what God is. Getting the wrong idea of what God is, that is what's called idolatry. Let's take a 1-minute break.